make this a quick video just to show you real quick my favorite style of planting seedlings to get them started indoors before I plant them outside. They're called Aerogardens. They even have some knockoff brands that you can buy now, but these are, I have a bunch of them, so I can show you. This is my more recent style. This is the reservoir that the plants sit in. There's little holes that you put your seedlings into, and I'll show you how that is. But it has a air pump, so it provides the air needed for your plants. Needs oxygen. The reservoir you put water in, and your Aerogarden system will detect when you need to add water. It'll remind you when you need to add fertilizer. You can set it to how many hours a day depending on the types of plants you're growing, which is nice because I can set it up so it knows what time of day it is, when to turn on and off lights, and keeps me on track how many weeks it's been since I gave them fertilizer. These are kind of the older style, a little more clunky. This is where you put the water in, and then it shows you what level to put the water to. These are the little pods, and I hang on to these and reuse them. You can keep buying more and throw them out, or you can try to save money and just clean them, sterilize them with bleach and vinegar, and reuse them. So I do that, so I try not to break these. But these are seed dirt pods. These expand once they get in water and keeps the plants, you know, basically growing in soil but in water. But these are condensed in dirt, and these will float inside there onto these. So you can see this fits in there. There's your dirt, and you plant the seed inside the little holes. So I'll show you. You can kind of see it close. There's a little hole, you know, deep enough for seedlings. It doesn't go much farther than that, but kind of weird looking. Kind of looks like poop. But so yeah, so you're gonna need some of these. Obviously, you're gonna need some seeds. So I have bought a variety of organic seeds: radishes, peppers, peppermint. I learned that a lot of these, like cilantro and basil, these help deter even mice, mosquitoes, snails, different bugs that are pests in your garden. You can actually kind of combat them with other plants. So I'm going to be a little more strategic in how I plant things this year, so that I can kind of get rid of the pests in my garden. So that's been kind of an annoying thing, is I have a lot of roly-polies in my garden beds that I'm going to be trying to get rid of this year, and I have some ideas before I get off track too much. So you're going to need, you know, plant tags so you can keep track of what you're planting. Those are really easy to find and cheap. Get something that you can maybe grab seeds with. If you don't have nails, sometimes I'll just put them in my nails and, you know, stick them inside. But get something to grab them with. I have a lot of little tools like tweezers. Just buy things that are specifically for seedlings. But you want to look for, if you're trying to grow organic, look for organic, obviously, on the package. All your instructions are going to be on there. When you should start planting them, inside or outside, how deep to plant them in the soil once they're sprouting and healthy. So you're going to want to kind of keep track of what you're going to do with these after they start sprouting and they outgrow your indoor area, because you're going to now plant those outside. And I will show you, you know, once they're growing and healthy, established seedlings, I'll show you how to keep them alive and get them to get ready to go outdoors, because you do have to prep them for outside for a couple weeks before you plant them outside. So, a couple more items to show you. So after you plant your seeds into the dirt pod, okay, you're going to put these little domes on top, and that's going to keep the moisture in there. It's going to intensify the beams of light to the plant and just create that perfect greenhouse environment that they need to get started. So that's why I love these so much. It's really easy to create that little environment anywhere, and this keeps them watered, you know, as long as I just keep it full and plug it in and let it go. I just kind of watch it grow for weeks and add the fertilizer as needed. Fertilizers that come with Aerogardens liquid plant food, and it will tell you based on what Aerogarden brand. it's not really necessary. You can save money. I've found these pods on Temu really cheap, and a lot of these planting supplies, like the little cages, I'm not sure exactly what to call those, but those go in there, and you can see how they hang underneath here. I have, it's like a little waterfall that drips through here, these little nozzles. They pump water in there constantly and just keep the water moving through the seedlings. So those will sit underneath where the water is, and you'll start to see roots. You'll actually see the roots growing underneath, and you'll be able to see them in the water. Sometimes when those get out of control, you have to trim them up a little bit so they don't get so tangled together. But I like to get them out of there as soon as I can, because they do tangle up and it makes them harder to get them out of these little pods. The roots will just get really big and start to overcrowd this, and you can't get it back out. So it's up to you. You can plant them in the dirt with these still intact. I've done that. It doesn't really do much, but I prefer to get them off early if I can, plant them into dirt, and start getting them ready for outside. So let me know if you get an Aerogardens set up and you need some help with that. But all you really need in your house is room for this little space. It's like maybe a foot, a little over. So you can set that on your countertop, your bathroom, your bedroom, your basement. I don't know how warm your garages are, whatever. But as long as you can keep the water above, I would say no lower than 60 degrees, that'll start to kill the plants. So you got to keep the temperature, say the Goldilocks zone is around 70 degrees, 72 if you can get that high. But yeah, if you leave them in your house, that's like the perfect temperature until springtime. So I like to dedicate that to my friend Elsa, who says, I don't have a place for a garden bed, I can't have plants. So if you have room for this, you have room for a garden. So if you have a patio, a bright window in your house, I have, as you can see, a lot of plants just growing in the window of my house. A big umbrella tree back there. I have all kinds of stuff. And then I have plants in my other window too that I've been growing avocado seeds in, if you've been watching my other videos, and some started indoors that are tomatoes and peppers and stuff. But I'm gonna go crazy. I have a bunch of these. I'm planning on planting a lot. They also have these inserts. This one is this is a 6-pod Aerogarden normally. You can see this is where the water, you can see how full it is. This is one of my older ones. It's kind of a little corroded, but I've sterilized all these and bleached them and cleaned them out really good, so they're ready to go. This is a little dingy. I've used it a few times, but it's basically styrofoam that floats on the top. You can put a ton of these little pods in there, so you can grow, I don't know, I'm not sure how many holes, but you can plug those in, put your plant, seeds in there, and the only difference is you don't have you can't fit the domes on top, so you just let it go like that, and you'll get a lot. I wouldn't recommend doing large plants in these, but this is good for like lettuce, things that won't overcrowd too quickly. But yeah, as long as you plan on taking them out quick, those can easily get tangled up in there with each other, get cramped for space. So you don't want your plants shading the other plants too much once they start sprouting, because it'll steal the light from the other plants. There's just a little maintenance, to keep them growing healthy, trimming them up, taking out the lower leaves to help it grow, things like that. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. But I'm gonna get these started. Let me show you a little demonstration as I'm planting them. But for the most part, I think I'm just gonna do a time lapse so you can see, how quickly I can do a lot of seeds in a short amount of time, short amount of space. And then I'll show you, once I fill these up with water, I'm gonna take them back out to the shed, because I have a whole lot more space for all these hydroponic setups, and let them grow in the shed. It's my little greenhouse area. And then, of course, I always have plants in here growing too. So, me, I can't have too many plants. I buy way too many. So, yeah, and then I'm going to show you also, if you don't want to start in water, you can just start in dirt. And I have setups to show you how to plant in dirt. still have like the little domes on top to help them keep that moisture and humidity inside. Humidity is pretty important. Trying to keep humidity around 55 to 60%. And yeah, that Goldilocks zone temperature of around 70 degrees. If you can keep it there, that's perfect. So hopefully these videos are helpful and you can get started planting some food for your family, some of your favorites. So go out shopping, look for seeds. I found Home Depot has a lot cheaper seeds than I found at like the grocery store. These were like twice as much for some reason at the grocery store. So $2.99 for the most part, a little over $2 per packet, and you get, you know, tons of seeds. So we'll keep you growing food. If there's a problem where there's a shortage or things get way too expensive, you have a backup plan, right? So you can still have food. It is a labor of patience. You have to give your plants a lot of TLC, just making sure that they're getting enough sun, enough water, enough plant food. You got to keep them away from animals. If you have animals that would like to go dig in your beds, or just, you know, I don't know, mine are pretty well trained now, but I had a lot of problems with puppies and other dogs that would like to eat my plants as soon as they saw them. So yeah, so that's all I have today. I will keep feeding you videos as I'm doing things. So I'm trying to make this fit into my lifestyle because I do have a day job and kids and a lot of busy things to do with my garden and my chickens and everything. My fish, I had a bunch of fish that had, not a bunch of fish, I had a fish that had a bunch of babies today. So yeah, I have a lot of little projects that I'm constantly doing. So to make it easy, I'm just going to try to make these videos, even if I don't feel like being on camera that day, or whatever. It's not really important for you guys to see me. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I don't want it to be all about me. I want it to be about you guys and getting you the information you need to do this yourself. Yeah, I'll keep doing it as long as I feel like it could be helping people. But yeah, I'll be doing it anyway, whether it's on camera or not. So I'm just going to let you guys kind of follow me in my life and all the different weird little projects we do. And we always are full of ideas of improving things, trying to set up things for automatic watering. I'm trying to learn about irrigation. I may take some classes, at least do a lot of research, because I want to get further into setting up irrigation in my garden beds so that we're using less water. So that's something I'm going to be working on. But yeah, keeping you posted, guys. All right, bye.